Good morning, campers. It's time for another 2025-2026 reading. I believe we have 3 more collectives to go. So if this is not your reading, you can check the previous ones. And like I said, there are still, I think, 2 more to go. So we're going to follow the same sort of a pattern. We're going to follow the same thing. We're going to start from what was your 2025. So you know this is truly your reading, what transpired overall, sort of a review. And then we're going to do guidance and predictions for 2026. All right, 2025 for this collective. What was 2025 for this collective? Happiness. That's really nice. Remember that we're talking, there's a reason it's coming to my mind. Remember that we're talking overall. We're talking overall. So look back. Sometimes like we sit in the energy in a specific moment and we're forgetting for the, what was happening like 6 or 9 months ago. 2 more. All right. All right. What do we have in here? What do we have in here? We have happiness. We have peace. With this peace, I was actually hearing learning peace. Learning what peace really means. So we're going to read through this card because there may be an important message within that card for you. We have number 9, which is beautiful completion. Number 2, number 60, and number 36. We have a loneliness and vulnerability as well. And I'm hearing something specific with these two together, but let's maybe address the first 2 cards. So overall, this collective, if you would look back last year, you would have some happy moments. There's a specific reason why it came to my mind, and I mentioned to you guys that, you have to have a big picture. Maybe right now you're not sitting in the happiest energy. Maybe there is a little bit of struggle. Maybe there is a little bit of challenge on an emotional level. Life is not black and white. We're never going to have a year that was 100% pain or 100% happiness, right? But overall, looking back, I feel there may have been some challenges for this collective, but you were happy. It was a good year. It's not like it was a very, very unhappy year for you. I'm hearing a lot of laughter, a lot of realizations, a lot of beautiful moments. We have peace, so let's read through that card. Peace comes in state of full release and acceptance. This requires healing, self-awareness, and opening our crown chakra to connect with the wholeness of the universe. Peace brings tranquility, harmony, and more than anything, true freedom. Freedom from conditioning from our past, from the illusions of the matrix. When we achieve peace, we are brought back to the state of innocence. Our existence is purified, and there is no conflict between our internal and external world. When we are wounded, the shadow of numbness and disconnect can disguise itself as peace. Make sure you are rooted in love, authenticity, and alignment. If you are not at peace with yourself, you are not at peace at all. And I was hearing a couple of things with this peace card. So I was hearing first, what draw my attention was freedom from conditioning and freedom from your past. So there is something for this collective that this 2025 year, you would realize that there are elements of your past that you're still bound to, that you haven't released all of the past, maybe all of your past relationships, maybe all of your past connections, and it's something that you would like to work on to fully understand and to fully release. And as well, conditioning and illusions of the matrix. So maybe you realize that certain things that you would follow as a rule, as a given, or certain thing that you would want and dream about, those are not really things that you dream about truly, but things that you thought that you need to have because of, what society tells us. The conditioning is exactly that. What society tells us, what sometimes religion tells us, what family conditioning sometimes as well, cultural conditioning. So it's something that you will want to really look deeper into. And I was hearing as well, the first thing is that last statement, if you are not at peace with yourself, you're not at peace at all. I think this collective, you would be contemplating this 2025 on the meaning of peace, right? Maybe in the past you thought that achieving your dreams brings you peace, that not having external problems brings you peace, and you're starting to realize that the chaos was really within you, that the peace that you truly need to achieve is within you, which is beautiful. And we have loneliness and vulnerability. So I was hearing that this collective, maybe you struggled with some sort of a reflections around your relationships. How do you form relationships, romantic relationships? There is something about vulnerability, so maybe you've realized that there is a bit of a fear of vulnerability when it comes to you forming real connections. Loneliness, I'm hearing so many things. We're going to do tarot on top of that to clarify, but I would say that this past, it's not yet past, we're still in 2025. This 2025 for this collective would be the key things that you would be realizing is something about your past relationships, how you connect to people, that maybe you weren't vulnerable enough, that maybe you were jumping in a relationship too fast, forming codependency because you were lonely, because you didn't want to be on your own, but those relationships would always lack depths, lack vulnerability. I want to read through these cards. Loneliness is not lack of physical presence of another person, but lack of true connection. Exactly that. You would realize that. Feeling of being seen and understood. If we are surrounded by people who aren't our true soul connections, we only numb the loneliness that underneath illusions grow even stronger and become even more painful. Emotion of loneliness isn't dependent on anything external. It is a byproduct of poor relationship we have with ourselves and distorted patterns that push us to look for happiness, validation, and fulfillment externally. When we're healing, we start to understand that we must first build a loving and deep connection with ourselves. The more we look inwards, we offer ourselves love, forgiveness, and unconditional acceptance of our true, authentic self, the less lonely we feel. And that really ties into that. If you are not at peace with yourself, you're not at peace at all. I think this collective, you realize that you're lacking a little bit of connection to yourself. Many people want things from others, but whatever is it that you don't have with yourself, you can never form with other people. If you are not honest with yourself about who you are and where you are in life, you will never build any truly honest relationship, okay? People will not be honest with you if you cannot be honest with yourself. If you don't truly deeply love yourself and accept yourself, you will never find that acceptance in other people, right? If you don't really feel fulfilled, nothing will bring that fulfillment, that love, and that joy to you, right? Why do I say joints? Maybe you had some issues with, I don't know, I'm hearing like knees or like some joint pains. Maybe you had like an injury that this past year. It can be a detail for some of you. It just came to my mind. Random thought. A vulnerability. Vulnerability means allowing our authentic soul to stand in front of another without the mask of the ego. Allowing ourselves to be seen for who we really are. Having the courage to express our emotions without certainty on how they would be received. Taking risks. It takes courage and risk to be vulnerable. It also requires to know oneself well. Without the awareness of who we are and how we feel, we won't be able to express ourselves authentically. When we are wounded, we may confuse. Yeah, so I feel that this collective, we're on to something. So, right, this is your collective. If 2025 you realize that you don't have the best relationship with yourself, that you don't really love yourself or know yourself that much, you're confused on who you are and what you want, there's a confusion that comes with conditioning and maybe with past that you haven't fully processed and closed, karmic lessons that you haven't fully learned, and you would be considering embarking on that journey to really get to know myself, to be a little bit more vulnerable. Again, I always say this, when we live in denial, when we are not honest with ourselves, we cannot stand in front of a mirror and say, yes, I feel loneliness. Yes, I have issue with vulnerability. Yes, right? Whatever your shadow is, you will not find honesty in another person. Because when you're deceiving yourself, if you live in a denial, all you're going to find externally is going to be deception. Always, if you cannot be vulnerable with yourself, no one ever will be vulnerable with you, right? So very important detail. All right, let's do some tarot on top of that. The ruling energy of 2025. Okay. All right, let's see. So we have Three of Cups, which is really beautiful, and I was hearing something specific. Three of Wands as well. Maybe March is important, or maybe you're seeing a lot of threes, three, third of the third as well. But I was hearing March. We have Temperance and we have the Chariot. So with this Three of Cups, what I was hearing is that those happy moments, remember that I mentioned, I was hearing happy times with the girls. So maybe you have a group of girlfriends, maybe you have daughter or daughters as well. That's what I'm hearing. Maybe you are someone who in the end, there are certain things that are missing, there are certain shadows, there are certain issues that you have to deal with, but overall you appreciate life. You like creating happy moments, happy memories. This is why this was your ruling card. This is why you wouldn't probably say, despite all the issues and all the problems and all the revelations, that 2025 wasn't a happy year, right? I feel like you have a quite significant community around you. I feel you have a lot of people around you. I was hearing as well like the girls trip as well. So maybe 2025, it can be a detail just for some of you, but maybe you took some trip with, with your girlfriends, with the girls. But what I was hearing as well with this one is this realization that it's exactly that statement that we read on a card of loneliness. So I'll read this again. Loneliness is not lack of physical presence of another person, but lack of true connection and feeling of being seen and understood. And I think this is something that you realize, this collective. So maybe past year, it's like you realize that you're constantly with someone. You're never truly really alone. It's not like you don't have people that you can go for dinners and drinks and travels and parties. Maybe you even do these things a lot, but it's like no one really understands you to the very depths of you. But this is what I just said to you guys. No one will ever, if you yourself don't understand yourself, your shadows, if your past doesn't make sense to you, if we cannot connect the dots, if we are constantly in this denial that we've said goodbye to our past, but we don't really understand the woundings, the childhood trauma that we all have to a certain degree, we cannot connect the dots, we're lost. It doesn't make sense who we are because we don't understand our southern nodes. We don't understand where we come from. To really truly know where we're going and where we are, right? It's also how we navigate in space. If you think about this, you have to know where you coming from. You have to know the point of origin. If you don't know the point of origin, you don't know where you are and where you're going, you're completely lost. And this is such a big truth of life, right? So maybe this is what you realize, that it's like you're constantly doing something. You're surrounded by someone. My neck is, maybe there's something about throat chakra, and also like feeling a bit like you're suffocating, like it's like you're around people and you want to be around people. It's like you don't want to be alone, but you're not feeling any better with these people. There is some sort of a movement. There is some sort of I feel like this was a dynamic year for you. So maybe there was a lot of thing happening, a lot of thing a lot of things happening, a lot of movement. I'm hearing as well a lot of travel. So maybe you've traveled a lot, maybe you've done a lot of trips, a lot of parties, a lot of being out. There's a reason that I said to you guys that sometimes we sit in at the end of the year, and I said this happiness, and I said remember that the year is long. I feel like so many things happen, and there was so much going on in this year that it's like you almost don't remember what was going on in the beginning of this year. But there is a bit of a sense like this entering the end of this year. I feel like you're feeling subconsciously, this collective, that you need a little bit of calming down, that you need a little bit of settling down, not in a sense of settle, but in a sense of more peace. It's like you feel that you want peace and you need peace, but you don't know how to find it. It's like you keep searching, but you're searching in the wrong places because you're not searching inside of you. You're not being vulnerable with yourself. I feel they're setting a tone in this last month of this current year. They've been setting a tone for you to understand that there's a deeper healing needed, that you need to go inwards, that you need to learn that vulnerability with yourself. Let's do 4 of these. Number 7 and number 14, they as well may be important. All right. We have number 36, and we had number 36 before, right? So it means, I think vulnerability was, 36. So 36 would be important. Maybe you are 36, maybe it has a meaning you live under 36, or if you're seeing that number a lot, it would make sense. All right, I got it. So your first card is sacral chakra. Sacral chakra, this is where we store our trauma. That's first of all in our sacral chakra. Second of all, this is the water element, the element very important for women, but it's also where our cords link if we have undissolved and unresolved cords from the past. So if you have a lot of unclosed relationships from the past that were karmic relationships, but you haven't truly learned your lessons, you haven't truly understood these relationships, you still have resentment, you still have feelings, you have, be it positive or negative, you haven't neutralized these relationships through learning your lessons and releasing, you would have a lot of cords around your sacral chakra. And I am hearing that this is actually really, it's stopping you from moving forward properly. It's exactly what I said. You don't understand the point of origin. You haven't fully learned from the past. And they literally showing me, because if we have like a cord and here and there, we can still move forward, right, towards the past. But if we have like a lot of cords, it's becoming a burden. They're showing me 10 of Wands. It's like literally you want to move forward, but without you knowing why, there's so many from all the angles, cords linking you back to your past partners, to your childhoods, to your wounds, to your traumas that you haven't fully really dissolved. There's a sacral chakra clearance really, really needed for this collective. So you can, it's really hard for me to give advice for a collective because some of you guys will really embark on a very journey of deep healing. Some of you will just do something here and there. So whether to some of you it may be therapy to resolve your past relationship, to some of you may be coming on sessions to someone like myself to fully learn these karmic lessons, read into that karmic contract and start to release that. Some of you, if you are still intimidated but you sort of go more towards spirituality, my Sacral Cleanse 6-month Sacral Cleanse program would be perfect for you. You can learn about it on my website in a healing programs, I think it's called, and it's also pinned to my Instagram. For some of you it may simply be a reflection on your past Maybe you resonate with a Reiki healer, with energy healer, with or a womb priestess, someone who can really focus on that sacral chakra of yours, because I am hearing that it's blocking as well your feminine energy. It's very important for us feminines. We receive through our sacral. So if our sacral is blocked, if our sacral is surrounded by cords, the undissolved cords of the past, of ex-partners, we cannot truly receive anything from coming from the future, whether that's gift from the universe or from someone who really wants to connect with us. And if you don't know how to receive, you don't truly know how to be vulnerable. So these two really are linked, because for us women, especially, as we receive through our sacral, because men receive through their hearts, right? But we receive through our sacral, which means that our sacral has to be on point. This is a point of trauma. This is a point of cords. And if we are unable to fully open it as a flower, as a lotus, right? How can we ever receive in a vulnerable way? So it would be very important for this collective. We have connect to your spirit team. It's making me feel that you are being pushed a little bit towards that journey of spirituality, whether you already are or aren't spiritual, but to connect to something beyond. So maybe there's a specific soul of someone that you believe that this person is with you and guiding you, or maybe you know, a spirit guide, whatever resonate, but connect to that someone from beyond that will hold you, that will guide you, because it also links to that loneliness, right? It also links to that loneliness. We have technology detox. I feel maybe towards the end, I feel like this year for this collective, the first half of the year will be quite different than the second half of the year. I feel like in the second half of the year, you would feel the need to maybe be a little bit more private, maybe a little bit more. It's this, because technology, people these days are constantly attached like to their phones and to like looking what other, it's funny because sometimes, you know, people think that people who post a lot are dependent and attached to their phones, right? So I post a lot because, first of all, it's the work that I do. I post here on my Instagram. I like posting as well, but I don't really spend that much time on social media. I don't really watch other content. I literally, sometimes when I'm posting, I like scroll and I see like a couple of reels that I, you know, share with you guys, but I don't really spend that much time. I don't observe other people. I don't look into other people's business, where they are, where they go, where they travel, what they wear, right? So it would seem that I use it a lot, but I really don't. And there's a lot of people, there's a reason I'm hearing this. There's a lot of people, it's like when you think about it, they don't really post that much, they don't really share that much, but they're constantly on their phone. Either it's texting with someone, talking with people, chatting with people, looking at shopping online. It's like constantly on their, I'm literally seeing someone like with their morning coffee next to your morning. Maybe you have like a kitchen table and you sit down and then you lose track of time, like in the morning or like in the evening. So maybe the second half you would try to not to do that. Maybe instead of that, to watch a movie or read a book or take a bath. I'm hearing to detox a little bit from what's coming from more than technology. As a technology, I'm hearing like social media. And we have journaling, which is beautiful. And when the card pop up, I would hear that you're either someone that you've never journaled before, or maybe you had a journal when you were like a teenager, you were very young, but you wouldn't be a journaling kind of type right now. And there's a reason for that. I always say to you guys, first of all, this is a one-on-one channeling. This is how channeling starts. This is how we all can channel for ourselves, right? Through journaling. And second thing that I always say to you guys, it requires vulnerability to write something, and really it's like your feelings, when you hold them back, when you hold them for yourself, when you deny your feelings, when you write them on paper, they're there. And I feel that this is going to be for this collective your first step of healing. Remember everything that I mentioned: therapist, spiritual therapist, coming to a psychic medium like myself, dissolving those cords, energy work. It may be something that it is somewhere like a seed was planted within you, but it may be a little bit too early. We're tapping into 2026 in a moment. but I feel that you are being pushed. It's very much this last months of this year. I feel like they're already setting a tone for the next year. So maybe you already started, or maybe you bought a journal, but you haven't had the courage to actually journal just yet. Hold on, sorry. But I feel like it would be a guidance that you're already realizing. It's truly how we can start healing. It's truly how we can get to know ourselves, be a little bit more vulnerable with ourselves. It's a beautiful, very underrated tool for shadow work and healing. If you guys, if some of you from this collective, or you watching, even though it's not your collective, if you guys come to me on sessions, if you're just starting your journey, you know that I'm going to say this to you as a task number one. Go and get your journal. Some people who are quite stubborn and who are quite, not really that good in completing the task from healing sessions, I would say to them, send me a photo of that journal. I want to see it. You need a journal. You need a journal. It would be important. Okay, let's do 4 of these to close 2026, your ruling energy. Yeah. That's what I was feeling for this collective. That you're quite happy person, you're a quite joyful person, you like to laugh, but it is on some level, it is on surface level, and you would be realizing this, and you would be realizing this. I oftentimes work with people, and it's a shadow, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about this. I oftentimes work with people, we have water and air energy, who, when we start working on their shadow, on shadow work, and I read their energy on first sessions, or sometimes if I start talking to someone, I don't even need that session. I see into their darkness, right? And their shadows. And I see sadness, I see grief, I see certain woundings, right? And when we start talking about this, they go into this denial of, no, but I'm happy, my life is good, it's not like I'm unhappy, it's not like I'm crying, I travel, I do exciting things, maybe I have family, I have children, I'm really happy. Because something in that subconscious mind, due to conditioning that we're all bound by, they feel like that if they start to embark on a journey of healing and talk about how much pain they had to endure because of their parents, maybe because of people in the past, because of their ex-partners, it's going to feel like they're complaining, and it's going to feel like they're ungrateful. So they stuck on this shallow level. No, it's all good, I'm happy, my life is good, I have everything. You guys, shadow work is not about complaining. Healing mother wound and father wound, it's not about judging your mother and your father. It's about knowing the point of origin. It's about knowing where you come from, so you can fully thrive, so you can fully be happy, and not just surface level trips, weather, hobbies, friends. It's not that. And you are sensing that there's depths missing to whatever is it that you're doing in life. You would be someone that, when, one of those people, like I have few collectives like this, that when you're going through something very painful and very difficult, people wouldn't know. Maybe if someone is an energy reader or is an empath or is very sensitive to these things, they're going to notice that you change, but you're going to react more probably. You wouldn't be someone who complains or who cries. I feel like this collective, maybe you have more tendency to lash out and some sort of aggression, because that's exactly it. When there's a lot of grief in our heart, a lot of pain in our heart, we don't know how to deal with it, we become a little bit more aggressive. And sometimes it's classic aggression, and sometimes it's aggression that directs itself towards a specific person, and sometimes it can manifest in sarcasm, in heavy levels of irony. I'm not saying that sarcasm it's as well misconception. Sarcasm is not a shadow, but when we don't know how to deal with ourselves, right? When we don't have that, we use that as a tool. That dissociation. looking for distractions, looking for no, it's all good, ha 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 ha, you know. So someone who has a horrible pain within their heart, but instead of just being vulnerable and talking about it, they're going to be sending memes about how funny that trauma is. And yeah, the trauma can be very funny once we heal it, but once we heal it, if you haven't healed that and you're constantly in this energy, maybe you remember we mentioned this, that you're sitting on your phone, maybe that's what you're watching, funny memes and content about, you know, horrible exes and horrible fathers and ha 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 ha. But remember that this is not healing. This is not healing. And you know, sometimes, yes, when we heal, we look back and we laugh at certain things because we understand we have a bigger picture.